Welcome to BNEWS Summer Movie Special. I'm Phil Gallagher, along with my guest, our resident entertainment reporter, Chris Flaherty, who is in his second year here at BCAT. He's a graduate of Quinnipiac College.
Correct.
With a degree in film and interactive video. Did I miss one word in there?
Film, video, and interactive
media. Okay, great.
Was the very illustrious title.
Well, did they fit that all on the diploma?
Miraculously.
Miraculously. Okay, so we're going to talk about, well, we're well into the summer movie extravaganza here. Actually, give us a little background on the summer blockbuster.
Well, you know, way back when, no one wanted to release movies during the summer because, you know, it's the nice weather out and no one wants to stay inside during the summer. But way back in 1970s, Universal did a little gamble with a movie called Jaws. They released
75.
75, correct. They spent about $1.8 million on marketing for that film, which if you know the production history for that, that was a very big gamble. They went over schedule, they went over budget. But, you know, it really paid off, and, you know, Jaws is the classic it is today. And, you know, that started the trend of, you know, the summer blockbuster. What followed was like E.T. and then the Star Wars films, and pretty much ever since then, if you have a big movie, you want to put it in the summer. But now it's like, if you want your movie to do well, you got to find another period in the year to release your movie, or it's not going to make money. Like, I think now, like, blockbuster season can start as early as, like, March or April. I mean, last year, the big Batman vs. Superman film came out Easter weekend, I think. This year, major films like Logan and the Beauty and the Beast remake came out in March. And then, I know you loved it, Deadpool came out on Valentine's Day last year.
Actually, I hated it, as you know.
I know.
Well, it was so typical of the Hollywood hypocrites, you know. They were like anti-gun, anti-violence, and then every movie we see is you can't count the number of bodies. I just saw Guardians of the Galaxy, and I just couldn't count the number of murders. Oh my! A comedy with
the one where he's got the arrow and he's like, oh my!
Kills 40 people at
once. Like probably the same amount of people in that one scene that probably Deadpool does in an entire 2-hour movie.
Exactly.
I love that scene.
But we can also thank Jaws for, let me see, 42 consecutive years of great white shark reports off of off of the Cape, right?
I know. Tourism on the beaches certainly, you know, improved that year.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so what has come out so far that that's been up to snuff?
Well, you know, the official start of movie summer, I think, is May, and we started out with a superhero movie. Surprisingly, I think there's 8 coming out this year. You know, I'm not going to talk about how oversaturated superhero films are. But in May, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 came out, which you saw, I saw.
700 million?
700 million. It's already passed the profits of the first film. You know, the first film was a huge gamble. I mean, you saw it, a talking tree and a raccoon. I mean, it's not like Iron Man or Captain America. Wasn't a safe bet. They released the first one in August in 2014. Everybody loved it. So now we're looking at, you know, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's looking towards the future because everybody's contracts are expiring. You know, Robert Downey Jr., I don't know how much longer he can play Iron Man. Chris Evans is done with Captain America, but they're really looking to make Guardians of the Galaxy like a cornerstone of their franchise, and it's clearly paying off. They've already passed the profits of the first film, so, and yeah.
Giant gate, and I mean only a few months, right?
Yeah, it was quick, and you know, it's already one of the top earners of the year. And I should mention, you know, last year when we were doing our Oscar special, you mentioned the top 10 films, and most of them came out, you know, during the summer. And that's the same case already. We're already halfway through the year.
But it's unlikely that any of these are going to be Oscar nominees.
No. These are the films people see.
Actually watch, yes.
Yes. But yeah, so Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, I mean, it's probably going to keep earning money throughout the summer, and it probably still will be one of the top earners this year. Pirates of the Caribbean 5 came out Memorial Day weekend, and we should mention box office for Memorial Day this year was the lowest since 1999. Which
down somewhere in the order of 17%, right?
Yeah, pretty big, yeah. And again, you have to consider the movies that came out that weekend, Pirates of the Caribbean 5, and then the Baywatch movie with The Rock.
Yeah. Which was surprisingly his lowest grossing film to date, right?
Yeah, and you know, he's a big star, but they tried to do what they did with 21 Jump Street, you know, try to take this 80s TV show and, you know, modernize it. I didn't see it, but apparently it wasn't that funny. But yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Apparently it wasn't that original, since you're going on a 30 year-old theme,
Oh,
right?
does anyone remember Baywatch other than us?
Well, unfortunately,
they remember
I
one
do.
thing from Baywatch.
I think it was on before you were born.
Yeah, well, I saw the reruns. But, you know, Pirates of the Caribbean 5, does anyone want to see Pirates of the Caribbean 5? I mean, you got to talk about franchise fatigue, honestly. Right. I mean,
What did it do for numbers, though? It's done pretty good numbers, hasn't it? 650 million so far?
It's done pretty good. It's the lowest opening weekend of any of the Pirates films, and it dropped 65.7% in its second weekend. And still, the second film is the highest grossing of the franchise. So.
But this is still likely, with international rights, it's still going to gross 1.2 billion.
I mean, Johnny Depp still has a pretty big draw to box office, despite, you know, his recent years of public controversy.
Yeah.
We won't go into that, but
an oddity.
Yeah, he is quite odd.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, he recovered from being Tonto in The Lone Ranger.
Oh my God. He was at some film festival this weekend, and he made a joke about Trump, and he was like, "When's the last time an actor assassinated a president?" Yeah. So, you know.
Yeah.
People are going to be talking about Johnny Depp for a few days.
Pretty funny, Johnny.
Yeah, I haven't seen any tweets from Trump about Johnny Depp yet, but keep an eye out. So
we'll see if he gets a visit from the Secret Service.
Yeah, I did see this one last week, and I'm not a huge Pirates of the Caribbean fan. I always found the films way too convoluted in their own mythology. It's like a soap opera, like 2.5 hours, like everybody's betraying each other and making deals with each other. You can't keep track of it.
Sounds like Hollywood in general.
But I mean, I could tell Johnny Depp just didn't care anymore. He just wanted his paycheck, and it seemed almost like he seemed bitter, almost in the whole like role, like just trying to go through the motions. You know,
just picking up his 25.
Yeah, like he almost like I don't remember how I played this character, but so what? I don't think anyone else does.
Well, what they could have traded Johnny Depp in for what Mick Jagger's lead guitarist, who's Keith Richards.
Yeah, Keith Richards, who cameoed in the fourth film, and then Paul McCartney cameos in this one for some reason. I don't know.
I don't know.
All right, but that was May, and then we go on to June, which, you know, this film is taking the world by storm. Wonder Woman, one of the highest rated first outings for a superhero in like ever.
Now, is this a lady-directed film?
Yes, Patty Jenkins directed it,
right.
And then, you know, Gallagher reprised her role from Batman vs Superman. Right. You know, I got a soft spot for that.
Yeah, exactly, sure.
But yeah,
and for Gal Gadot.
Yeah, and Gal Gadot. Largest opening for a female-directed picture of all time. Oh, here we go. 16th largest opening for a comic book film of all time. 6th if you don't count the sequels, and the 6th largest June opening of all time. So yeah, this film is taking the world by storm. I saw it. I loved it. The internet seems to be looking for any reason to take this film down.
What was your Rotten Tomatoes?
It was 93% last time I checked.
That's a good number.
That's a good number, yeah.
93%. That's the highest of all the summer-rated films, isn't it?
Right now, yeah. But, you know, I think we're seeing with Wonder Woman what we saw with La La Land, like once the Oscars started going, like people were saying, oh, it's overrated, it's so generic. But, you know, it is very, you know, it's very by the numbers, but, you know, not every superhero film needs to be a game changer. And it doesn't have to, like, do something new. I mean, to keep this, you know...
How many new things can be done in the superhero?
Exactly.
I mean, you know, they're moving planets.
I know. Yeah, Kurt Russell's a planet, and then, like, we have talking trees dancing and stuff. Right. But, you know, like, I would say, I don't want to call it the superhero genre, because it's not really, like, a genre that revolves around superheroes. Like, they're doing something different every time. Like, the last couple of Captain America films have almost been, like, political thrillers. I mean, Black Panther's coming out. That looks really different, like, an almost... I don't know what you would call it, but, and then, you know, Thor is like, you know, he's like Asgardian mythology stuff. It's fantasy. The Avengers, they're doing their thing. So everybody's like bringing something new to the table, and then, you know, Guardians are like crazy disco trees and raccoons. So as long as, you know, they can keep it fresh, we'll be fine. But, you know, if we just have, you know, regular superhero films like Wonder Woman, that's fine too. You know?
Wouldn't we like to get a nice, wholesome family drama with some comedy mixed in, you know?
There are some original films coming out this year.
Captain Underpants.
Captain Underpants, based on the hit children's books. I saw it. I saw it with our board of directors, young kids. I enjoyed it. I read the books as a kid. You know, animated films, they can appeal to adults and kids. I thought this one appealed more to kids than adults, but I still enjoyed it because I grew up with the books and stuff. 84% on Rotten Tomatoes. It came in second that weekend because it decided to go up against Wonder Woman. In its second weekend, it dropped to third. June 2nd, it's only been 3 weeks. Last time I checked, it was number 8 at the box office. DreamWorks Animation, you know, they really needed a win. I think they've been almost bankrupt for the past 3 years.
Comparatively speaking, though, this wasn't much of a win. I mean, it only did about 10% of what Wonder Woman did, right? So
right,
62,
yeah.
63 million?
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be the film that saves DreamWorks Animation. I don't think it's going to make any top 10 films, you know, top 10 list films this year. But, I mean, it's still an enjoyable film. If you want to take your kids to see it, if you read the books as a kid, it's very enjoyable. I liked it. And then we continue on. The weekend afterwards, we had Tom Cruise's The Mummy, which only scored a 17% on Rotten Tomatoes.
And it didn't score very well for him gate-wise in an opening weekend, right? This
No,
is a
it
low
didn't.
one for him?
Yeah, it opened second. Wonder Woman still remained at the top spot. It was meant to kick off like this dark universe, like cinematic franchise for Universal, whereas like, think of it as like the Avengers movies, but instead it's like The Mummy, it's Dracula, it's Frankenstein and stuff.
Still did 300 million, though. He's still a popular draw.
Yeah, still did very well. I read a couple articles. BuzzFeed called it Tom Cruise's worst film ever. So, sorry, Tom.
That doesn't mean it won't do $1 billion.
No, it'll still make plenty of money. I mean, you got Tom Cruise, you got Russell Crowe and everything, so people are going to still see this film. His lowest score on Rotten Tomatoes since Cocktail from 1988 with 5%.
Horrible film.
I never saw it. So, I mean, Tom Cruise, yeah, he's taken a hit, but I think he's already cashed his paycheck. He'll be fine.
Yeah. And a piece of the action, too.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
exactly. So, and this is the second time they've tried to start this dark universe thing. They had a Dracula film in 2014. Again, I don't think this is the big start they wanted either. So we're going to have to wait and see what they're going to do with this Frankenstein meets the Wolfman meets the Mummy team-up film that's eventually going to come down the line.
Meets Wonder Woman.
Meets Wonder Woman.
Meets
everybody
Underpants.
needs a franchise now.
Right.
It's all going to connect to draw everybody back in.
Well, throw everybody in there and see what happens.
I think Johnny Depp's already lined up to play the Invisible Man. Javier Bardem's going to play Frankenstein.
Well, this would be the third or fourth Invisible Man, wouldn't it?
I think so, yeah. And we've already tried to do the Wolfman before a few years back, and that went pretty under budget. But it won an Oscar.
Well, Wolverine's
for
kind of a playoff of Wolfman, although Wolfman didn't have steel rods in his body.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. They'll probably still make them so long as they make money.
Yeah, animation's still making money.
Yep. And speaking of animation,
what sequel is this?
Cars 3.
Cars 3.
Probably 3 of eventually 6 or
6,
7.
9.
Did pretty good opening weekend. Almost 75 million. 66% on Rotten Tomatoes, but if you look at the gap between top critics, it was only 57%. The last Cars film scored a 39%, and that's the only Pixar film to ever get a Rotten Tomato score that was actually rotten. You know, Cars has never been Pixar's, you know, Oscar-winning, you know, high-integrity franchise. But the kids have loved it, and you know, the whole reason we got, you know, a second Cars was because of the merchandise. It's one of Disney's highest-grossing properties. Like you go into the Disney store, you don't have to go to the Disney store, but you know, there's a whole like wall of like cars, and there's like cars that don't even like exist in the movies. They're just random like little merchandise only things. So
well,
like,
Guardians is likely to have a big merchandise.
oh my God, yeah.
I guess they're already selling little Greets and little dancing trees in big numbers.
Oh my God, yeah. You go to like I don't know, like Hot Topic or like Newberry, and you get a little like Groot, like you press the button, it dances on your desk.
Groot, yeah, I am Groot. Greet, where am I? I can't pick up.
Yeah, right.
I got the wrong tree monster, I guess.
So I don't know. I haven't seen Cars 3 yet. It's not my favorite, you know, Pixar film, but it's making a lot of money. I'll still see it. I'll probably enjoy it. Yeah, don't go into this expecting the next like Up or WALL-E or Inside Out. Expect like a middle of the road Pixar film. And again, your kids will probably enjoy this one more than adults will.
And what was Rough Nights?
Rough
That
Night
came in at 12 million. That was a short one.
Yeah, this was weird. This was a starring vehicle for like Scarlett Johansson and a bunch of B-list female comedians. One of the actresses was from Broad City. There was an actress from Workaholics, Jillian Bell. There was Kate McKinnon from SNL. There was Lenny Kravitz's daughter.
This is supposed to be a critic's choice, isn't it?
Something like that. It's supposed to be like a R-rated. Well, I think Bridesmaids was rated R. It's trying to recreate, Bridesmaids, like a raunchy female comedy with the ensemble. Women, getting into antics that men usually get into.
I can't wait for that.
I think, based off the trailers, it looks like, Weekend at Bernie's, where like it's a bachelorette party weekend and they have a stripper and then the stripper dies and then they have to do something crazy with that and hijinks.
But Scarlett's the lead, though.
Scarlett is the lead, and she's one of the highest paid actors working right now. So I'm sure she made a nice little paycheck, and I'm sure she'll do well no matter what this film does at the end of the year. I mean, I keep going back to the superhero film. She's got like 3 more Marvel films under her contract. This is a first-time film for director Lucia Agnello. She works on the show, Broad City with I don't know her name, but one of the co-stars from Broad City is in the film too. And again, it came out the same weekend as Cars 3, and basically, if you want to open your movie against a Pixar film, you don't have too much faith in it.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure more adults went to see Rough Night than Cars 3, but it's not doing too well, and it's only got like a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, so it's definitely not going to be the next Bridesmaids.
We have a local interest coming, right?
We do, yes.
Amy Poehler is
Amy
coming.
Poehler,
Good luck, Amy. And this is a big vehicle for her. She's going to be carrying the female lead all alone.
Yes, she's starring alongside her old SNL buddy, Will Ferrell. That's coming out June 30th. It's called The House. The basic premise is somehow they lose all their savings, so they can't send their daughter to college. So they set up an illegal underground casino. So that's pretty unique. I think a lot of parents this time of year are going to relate to sending their kids to college in the fall.
Yeah, some overexpensive college on the East Coast, right?
So
overpriced. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah.
Amy Poehler can do no wrong.
Right now she's.
And I'm not just saying that because she's from Burlington. I really do love her.
Well, I'm saying that because I know her mother and father and her brother, and yes, she can do no wrong.
No, but she's doing great. She had that film Sisters with TinaEy. She just ended her run on Parks and Rec. She's got a great book out right now. She's got her
Baby Mama.
Baby Mama, yeah. What else she's been up to? I don't know, but she's doing it all lately, and it's clearly paying off. She's one of the biggest stars in comedy right now.
Well, she's funny.
She's hilarious, she's so genuine when you watch her on TV and stuff. Will Ferrell's another story.
Yeah, well, I think she's going to carry this.
Oh, she's definitely.
She's not a.
He has. I don't know if it's me getting older or if his shtick is just getting tired.
Yeah, he's getting tired.
Yeah, I mean, he's just doing the same thing over and over again.
He's still the anchor man, that's basically, or Frank the Tank, that was another one. Yeah.
Harry Carey, Alex Trebek on SNL. But he hasn't had a fresh film on Rotten Tomatoes since I don't even know if I should count 2014's The Lego Movie, because he was just doing a voice and he was a minor role. But I mean, Amy Poehler, she's doing great. Maybe this can save Will Ferrell, because it seems to be the latest trend is let's pair him with a celebrity who's really popular. I mean, we got Amy Poehler. He did Daddy's Home with Mark Wahlberg, and we got a sequel to that coming out this year. He did Get Hard with Kevin Hart. He did that film The Campaign with Zach Galifianakis. So basically, it's who's popular? Let's pair Will Ferrell with him and see what happens. Yeah. So I don't know.
So what else is coming?
That same weekend, I mean, I hope The House does well, because that same weekend we have our latest dose of Minions with Despicable Me 3 on June 30th as well. And in Hollywood, Minions equals money.
Yeah.
Each film in the Despicable Me franchise has done worse with the critics, but it's made more than the one before. So there's probably going to be a Despicable Me 4 and a Despicable Me 5. Worldwide, Minions is Illumination Entertainment's highest grossing film, and the second Despicable Me is right behind that one. And Minions is, I think, number 10 on the highest grossing films of all time.
Really?
Yeah. So
that's upwards of nearly $2 billion.
Yeah,
right?
we're talking
to
pretty
be in the
big,
top 10. Yeah.
It's like close to Avatar and Titanic.
Right.
And it's coming out on the 4th of July weekend. And so, you know, if you're not going away, you're going to go to the movies.
And if it's really hot, you're gonna go to the
Air-conditioned movie
movies. Yeah,
theater.
sure.
Yep. Kids can be nice and quiet, enjoy their Minions. This weekend comes out Transformers #5, The Last Night. One of the worst reviewed Transformers film yet. Never been a favorite with the critics anyway, but you know, still, we're making these films. It's just a bunch of blow up, you know, like special effects and stuff. You know, Michael Bay, he's just gonna
Blow
have
things
cars
up.
crash
Right.
and you know, give us
Well, the whole
a flimsy
technology,
script.
though, of the whole Transformer franchise of creating something out of, you know, a truck into a
Yeah, a truck
Transformer,
into
you
a
know,
car.
the whole airplane. I mean, it's all pretty cool the way they do it. There's no
Yeah,
question
it's
about
cool,
that.
but
The special effects are great.
Yeah, there's no like real story to these films, but they don't need one because you just want to see cars like turn into robots and then
Shooting
smash
each other,
buildings,
smashing
and
buildings.
stuff.
Sure.
I mean,
Why not?
this is a franchise-based thing, like cars, where like the merchandise. You know, you go to take your kid to the store, he buys like Optimus Prime in like his car form, then his robot form, and then his dinosaur form. I don't know, but Michael Bay says
Vertical integration in the
vertical
movie
integration.
business.
They say Michael Bay is done with this after #5. I wonder who will come around to revitalize this franchise, if there's anything to revitalize in the Transformers films.
Well, if they can revitalize Planet of the Apes,
They can revitalize Planet of the Apes.
they can revise,
Yep.
revisit Transformers,
I
that's
know.
for sure.
Yeah.
So tell us about this war for the Planet of the Apes.
War of Planet of the Apes, we're skipping around a bit. That comes out on July 14th. I saw the first two. I wasn't expecting too much because I've seen the old Planet of the Apes films and they're touch dated. But you know, the first two are in this like rebooted trilogy are really good, and I wish they got more attention come awards time. This film is supposedly going to bring us full circle with the originals, so maybe we'll see the Statue of Liberty blow up in this film.
Oh, really? Oh, so we're,
Yeah,
full
they're still
circle in
connected
terms
to
of
the originals. I haven't seen the old ones in a long time, but I think the main character, Caesar, is a character in the originals. I don't remember. But the motion capture in this film is like fantastic, you know. And there's like little to no dialogue because it's all apes and they're just still learning to talk and stuff. There's been a major like outcry among fans. Andy Serkis, he plays the lead ape in like the motion capture suit. He played Gollum in the Lord of the Rings film. He's a very talented man, and you know he's never gotten any sort of Oscar nomination. I wonder, and people wonder if it's because he's not really. He is there, but he's in like the gray motion capture suit with like the ping pong balls all over.
Yeah, right. What would you categorize it as for a?
I mean, he's still on stage and he's still acting and stuff, but it's like we talked about how with like Star Wars, like they were taking like the dead actors, or like they're taking other actors and putting younger actors' faces on them.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think he's very talented. Maybe he should get an Oscar nominee, but the Academy's got short-term memory, honestly, and to have this film come out in July, nobody's going to remember it come December, January. I mean, that's the problem with the Academy. They only remember films that come out like 2 months before the Oscars.
That come out specifically for Oscar nominations. And I don't think, has any one of them ever gotten an Oscar nomination? Any one of the franchise?
I don't think so. No, not me.
No, it wasn't Burt
interesting. I don't
Lancaster.
think
Who
so.
played the original lead?
Charlton Heston.
Charlton Heston, sure,
Yep.
sure.
I don't think
President of
he
the
came in with
NRA for a while, I think.
There is some original content coming out. June 30th is Baby Driver from this very nuanced director, Edgar Wright. His films are very unique. Like he did Hot Fuzz and Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, the End of the World. I can't remember what it was, but it was like the guys are doing a pub crawl during like the end of days. All his films are very unique. This one is like a gangster type film. The main character, he has a hearing issue, so he plays music while he's playing the getaway driver for criminals. So I expect this film to be very soundtrack based.
Very heavy-duty cast, though, huh?
Yeah, Kevin Spacey, Jamie Foxx, John Hamm, Lily James, who was in the Cinderella remake, and then this kid Ansel Elgort, who was in like the Divergent series and The Fault in Our Stars. not a big name. Maybe this, will boost his career a little bit. It's coming out the same weekend as Despicable Me 3 and The House, so I don't think it's going to make too much money. But the critics are probably going to love it. It premiered at the South by Southwest Film Festival, and audiences loved it. We're still a week away from its U.S. premiere, and it's already got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. So I think it'll be a very critically beloved film. It might not make the money that it's supposed to, which is a shame because, look at this list. It's all remakes, reboots, and sequels. And
right, except that, well, yeah, and one historical anyway, but Dunkirk's coming out, right?
Dunkirk, yep, that's from Christopher Nolan. The Dark Knight trilogy, Inception, Interstellar, starring Kenneth Branagh, Mark Rylance, Cillian Murphy.
Big British cast here,
Yep,
Tom Hardy too, right?
And then the girls are gonna love this. Harry Styles from One Direction's in it for some reason. Based on the story of Allied soldiers stranded during the Battle of Dunkirk in World War II, it's told from 3 perspectives: land, air, and sea. So, I expect a big spectacle film. Reportedly, the script is Nolan's shortest to date and has very little dialogue, so it should be very interesting.
Mostly action, I'm sure. Most of us that are at my age know a great deal about Dunkirk. It was more of a, wasn't really an Allied effort, although a great many French were rescued at the same time. But it was mostly the British Expeditionary Force that was taken out of Dunkirk as Hitler moved through the Ardennes, I guess, and it took basically 2 weeks to overcome France.
Wow.
Mechanized warfare.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to see a part of World War II history that hasn't really been shown on film yet, because I think we talked about this with Hacksaw Ridge back in our Oscar preview, that we've had so many World War II movies, or movies on war. It's nice to see something a little different. I think Wonder Woman takes place during World War I, and it was originally going to take place during World War II, and they decided let's go to World War I because it fit more with her character, and apparently there's parallels to what's going on in the world today. But
well, this isn't one, this isn't one where the good guys are winning.
No.
This is the one where the good guys barely get out with their lives.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it'll be quite a production in terms of, the number of boats, etc. The filming that's going to need to be done, because somewhere in the order of, I don't know, 3,000 or 4,000 boats had to be mustered to get, I guess, 360,000 troops off of the beaches of Dunkirk. Yeah.
So yeah, we're expecting a pretty large scale film, and that's coming out on July 21st. Oh my God, my college buddies would be very upset if I didn't talk about Spider-Man: Homecoming coming out on July 7th.
What number of Spider-Men are we on? This is another franchise.
This is the 3rd Spider-Man franchise, the 3rd actor playing it, and the big selling point of this one is he's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe now. After the big North Korea Sony hack, it finally came out that Sony was going to play nice with Marvel, and they were going to let Spider-Man hang out with Iron Man and Captain America in the films. And oh my God, is he going to hang out with Iron Man? Because Robert Downey Jr. has been very heavily in the marketing ever since day one. Which, apparently that's what you got to do to revitalize this franchise. You got to put him with other superheroes. Right. And he made his debut in the last year's Captain America: Civil War. I really enjoyed his performance. I'm interested to see what this kid can do with, a 2-hour film of his own. I say his own lightly because, again, he's co-starring alongside Robert Downey Jr.
Who can carry a film.
He can carry a film. But it's just so hard to get excited for, because this is the 3rd Spider-Man I've seen in my lifetime. I've had Tobey Maguire, I've had Andrew Garfield.
Well, it's like James Bond, though. I've seen
at this point,
James Bonds, Sean Connery, Roger Moore.
Yeah.
Who's the latest one?
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig was great.
He might be done now, I think.
Yeah, I think he's done with it. He's done 3. He's done 3, hasn't he?
Yeah.
4,
I think.
Pierce Brosnan was one in
Pierce
between.
Brosnan.
Then there was another fellow who only did 1. His name escapes me at the moment.
George
Lazenby.
Lazenby.
There you go. Oh, hey, way to pull one right out. Way to pull one right out. Your professor would be
they'd be very
impressed. Yes. George Lazenby. Yes, he did 1.
So, there's a lot banking on this Spider-Man becoming the definitive Spider-Man, because they've already set a sequel for 2019, and then the main actor, Tom Holland, already revealed he's got a 3rd Spider-Man movie on his contract, and then he's going to be in the big Avengers team-up film next year.
Okay,
So
well,
I really hope this is the Spider-Man that people love, because they're riding a lot on this one.
well, for some of us who only know, found out what an emoji was maybe a year or two ago, now they've actually made a movie out of
The Emoji
yeah,
Movie.
the Emoji Movie. Are you kidding?
This is where you go when you've run out of ideas. Like, you just, some producer was just twiddling on his phone during a meeting. It's like, wait a minute, let's do a film about emojis.
Absolutely.
Oh man.
So who did they get in there?
Obviously, this is animated.
Yeah.
T.J. Miller, Anna Faris, James Corden,
Patrick Stewart.
Patrick Stewart
as the poop
as
emoji.
the poop emoji.
Come on, Patrick.
Sir Patrick Stewart, who was knighted by the Queen,
doing poop,
is playing the poop emoji.
Amazing.
I mean,
amazing.
I think he's at a point in his career where he can do whatever he wants. So.
I guess. But James Corden is a very, very funny cat.
He is a funny guy.
And so is
he's
Anna
really taking
Faris.
over late night.
Oh, he is. I don't know if you've seen his carpool karaoke.
Oh my God, fantastic!
With, fantastic. But with what's her name? Adele.
Adele, I love the one with Adele.
That is fantastic.
My favorite's the one he does with Elton John. Well, they're just dressing up in the car, just having a grand old time.
But he is a very funny, very talented cat, too.
Yeah. Should I even talk about, I mean, he's playing the hand emoji, the high five emoji. And
I can't wait.
I can't even describe the plot of this movie. It's like Inside Out meets Wreck-It Ralph. Like, the main character, he's supposed to be a meh emoji, but he has emotions that he wants to share. So, you know, everybody's saying, like, you got to fall in line with the rest of the emoji. I feel so, like, ridiculous explaining this movie.
All right, well, let's go to Atomic Blonde.
Don't expect much from this one.
Yeah, well, Atomic Blonde, I mean, it's got Charlize Theron in it, so... I mean,
she's had quite a year.
She has.
Fast and the Furious 8 is currently, like, number 11 or 12 on the world highest grossing films of all time. I think it might be... It's number 12, and Beauty and the Beast remake is number 11,
right,
or
she
vice
came
versa.
off of Mad Max, too.
Mad Max,
whatever
yeah.
that was that 3 years ago now?
Yeah,
that was
3 years ago, 2015, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
And that was a big
She's
smash.
really had like a second life of a career. Right. I mean, she had her big Oscar turn a few years ago with Monster, right?
Yeah.
So she's still doing good. Directed by David Leitch. He's mainly a stunt man, but he moved into directing with the film John Wick, starring Keanu Reeves.
Right.
And he worked on John Wick Chapter 2.
Well, the stunts in John Wick are, you know, unbelievable as far as, you know, all of the shooting and killing of the bad guys.
Films, yeah. This is John Wick for girls, basically.
Right. Okay.
And, you know, don't expect a lot of, like, thought-provoking, you know, story points. It's just going to be more style than story. And, you know, Phil, watch out, because David Leitch is going to direct Deadpool too. So all eyes are going to be on how he does with this one.
So, was that a recommendation of yours? It might have been a recommendation from my son.
I don't think I would recommend Deadpool to you.
Okay.
I would recommend Deadpool to a lot of people, but
not to some stodgy old cat.
No,
right?
that's not all right. All right, we're finally at August.
Yep, coming out.
August is kind of like the burnout month, where, you know, it's like January or February. If you don't have like a good spot for your film, you just throw it in August or January, and it might not be a great film. But
the Dark Tower by itself, just the title is going to gain some.
That's going to be a major draw. That's based on the Stephen King novels, and it's been in development for a really, really long time. At one point, Ron Howard was connected to it. At one point, J.J. Abrams was connected to it. It's been in development since 2007, and again, another big gamble. They're looking to spawn like a big franchise with this that spans both TV and film. Another franchise, cinematic universes and stuff. Idris Elba is the star. Matthew McConaughey is the villain. I've seen the trailer a few times. It looks incredible. Almost like a Matrix, you know, cowboy western film. It looks really cool. Directed by Nicolas Arcel. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. He's a Danish filmmaker, and this is his first big U.S. release. So that's coming out on August 7th. And again, I really hope, you know, this one comes good, because I like seeing something new, not like another sequel or a reboot or something.
Well, the interesting thing is, years ago, you didn't decide on a sequel until you determined that the first one was a success. Now it seems they plan to make a franchise and have 2 or 3 sequels in a row ready to go.
Yeah, and then if the film doesn't do good, you're just taking a big bloodbath.
Yeah, right.
August 4th. This should be interesting. The film Detroit from Catherine Bigelow, who did The Hurt Locker and Zero Dark 30. And if you can tell from the name, it's based off, the Detroit riots from 1967, the 12th Street riot, specifically the Algiers Motel incident, starring John Boyega, John Krasinski, Anthony Mackie, and Will Poulter. Filmed around here in Dorchester, Boston, and Brockton. Yeah. Interesting, Brockton to Detroit.
Well, there's always political upheaval. There's been political upheaval in the U.S. since the days of independence, the Tories and the Loyalists, and there's all through the ages at this point. I mean, so today, the Carter administration, the Johnson administration, the Reagan administration, they've all had periods of political unrest. So this is not something that's new. But the interesting thing is, do people want to buy tickets to go and watch, reenactments of political instability in years gone by?
I don't know. I mean, I'll see it. It looks really intense based off the trailers. I mean, it's definitely going to, leave an impact. Yeah. Like, you're going to be thinking about it for a while after the movie.
Well, that's like buying a ticket to go see the Watts riot, or Rodney King getting beaten up, etc.
So, I mean, it's not going to be a feel-good movie.
Okay. All right. Well, we only got a minute. Close up for us. What do you think about the season? What are your picks to your best picks?
I mean, you know what? I got to go with what the people love. I think these superhero films, Spider-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, Wonder Woman, they're going to be the biggest earners. I'm hoping for some surprises like The Dark Tower, or this ridiculous comedy called The Hitman's Bodyguard, starring Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson, which is basically just the two of them doing what they do best, killing people and swearing and insulting each other. So.
Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L., he's been doing pretty well.
He's been doing well, and again, he's at that point in his career where he can do whatever he wants.
Right.
I mean, comedies don't seem to be doing too well this summer, with Rough Night and Baywatch underperforming. All these animated films are definitely going to be a big winner, with Despicable Me 3 and Cars 3. And the Emoji Movie.
Yeah. Well, let's hope Amy has a big smash.
Amy, yes. I really hope the house works out for Amy Poehler, because, again, I love Amy Poehler. And I want to see Will Ferrell succeed, too, because he used to be a very funny man. And, I think the two of them mesh together. This is the first time they've teamed up since SNL, so it should be interesting. I mean, if you're a big fan of the old SNLs, you should have a good time seeing that movie. But I'm banking on my my superhero films and my animated films. Those always seem to be the big winners of the year. If you look at last year, that's what most of the top 10 box office draws were: animated and superhero.
Okay, that's it. This has been the BNews Summer Movie Preview with our guest, BNews entertainment reporter Chris Flaherty. I'm Phil Gallagher. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you for joining us.